Would you ever merge yourself with your favorite hardware tool? What would happen if you did? Hi y'all, I'm Livanina, and today we're going to be analyzing Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is based on a manga that was written by Tatsuku Fujimoto, and the first arc was serialized in the Weekly Shonen Jump from December 2018 to December 2020, and then the second arc began serialization in the Shonen Jump Plus app July 2022. The anime ran from October 2022 to December 2022. It's one season, 12 episodes, and the anime adaptations were created by MAPPA. So for our setting and the plot, the setting is 1997 in an alternate timeline where the Soviet Union actually still exists. And in this world, there are devils who are born from the fears of humans, and there are devil hunters who are also able to make contracts with devils to become stronger, but they essentially hunt down the devils. And then of course there's just regular humans. So this particular anime I am going to categorize as dark fantasy, and I did do quite a few reviews of those before, so this is nothing new. This is not new territory. Something else about devils, so they can, reincarnate. So they come back, of course. So for the plot, we see Denji. He is a young man who inherits his father's debt to the Yakuza, which of course he has to work to pay it off. So he's actually working as a devil hunter, but we all know how those type of situations go. You typically never pay them off. Denji's dad passed away when he was relatively young, and we meet him as a teenager and he's still working to pay that debt off. So realistically, he's probably never going to pay it off. So the storyline is linear. His only friend is Pochita, who is a chainsaw devil. And he finds Pochita when he's young after his father passed, and he takes care of him and kind of raises him as a dog. So we see him, oftentimes sharing like one piece of bread that he has, because Denji is very poor. So he'll share whatever scraps that he gets, and he pretty much spends his life just the two of them. So there is a major conflict with the Yakuza in episode 1 of Chainsaw Man, and Pochita actually gives his heart to Denji to save him. So they actually enter a contract unknowingly to Denji. And because of this, that is now why Denji is able to pull a cord in his chest, and chainsaws will come out of his body. So because of this, he is found by a young lady named Makima who works with the public safety division. And he's given two options. He can either become a devil hunter or be hunted. So he chooses to become a devil hunter because he's promised food and shelter. So that's kind of the route that he's taken. And then it soon becomes clear that a lot of the enemies that the devil hunters face are actually targeting Denji. And he doesn't know why. We don't know why. At least we're not told that in the first season. For our character analysis, so of course we're going to start with Denji, our main character. He's very poor and he loses his father at a young age, so that sets him up for a lot of vulnerabilities, a lot of trauma. And we see him scraping by on scraps of food, bread that he even shares with Pochita. So he works tirelessly to pay off his father's debt for the Yakuza by being a devil hunter. But he doesn't seem to me like he made any progress on the debt, because again, we know how those things go. He's shown to have normal teenage tendencies for being a man, such as being introduced to women and wanting, relations with women. So we see him, as a typical teenager. And then I like Denji as a protagonist personally because I feel like he isn't the typical superhero. So he doesn't have these super deep and lofty ideas about saving the world and, just being the hero. He ultimately chooses to go this route because he was offered food and shelter, and the alternative to becoming a devil hunter was being hunted. So if he wanted to stay alive, if he wanted to eat, if he wanted to have a place to live, then his option was to become a devil hunter. So that's not to say that he doesn't build relationships with people and that he doesn't care about people, because he definitely does. But he is not set up like the typical protagonist superhero. And I like that. I like that because I like things, you know, that are different. Pochita is the canine companion of Denji. He's also the chainsaw devil. And we see them meet when Denji is young, and we see Denji take care of Pochita. And then we see them actually make a contract where Pochita is willing to give up his own heart in order to save Denji. And that is how Denji becomes the chainsaw man. So I know Pochita, just from reading about the show and doing more research, I know that Pochita is an important character, but for what we see in season 1, Pochita's sacrifice is the reason why there even is a chainsaw man, you know, that's Denji. Aki is the superior who Denji is working with. He gets assigned to train him by Makima. And he's initially very cold to Denji. He even beats him up and tries to get him to leave. But he's also shown as having a very calm and mature demeanor. But however, even with that, he does grow to really care about Denji. He's also a fierce hunter. He does what he does very well. His entire family was killed when he was young by the gun devil. So he is on a mission of revenge. So, you know, that's always important. He has contracts with 2 devils by the end of season 1. And he also has a weapon that is cursed. Each time he uses it, something happens to him. I'm not going to say what, but he's still willing to use it to save people. And he is saved by his partner, Himino, who sacrifices herself into her devil to save him. And that's important because their partnership and their friendship, and even the, you know, kind of the subtle romance between them was very touching. It was a very good storyline. It was a very good subplot. So, you know, the fact that somebody cared enough about him to sacrifice themselves to save him, you know, says what kind of person that he really is and what he means to other people. Okay, so Power is a fiend who works as a devil hunter, also in Makima's squad. And a fiend is a devil that has taken over a human corpse. So they're typically weaker and they usually have some type of distinct feature. For Power, she has red horns on her head. Power is very selfish, very annoying. You know, she gets on their nerves, Denji and Aki's nerves. But she eventually grows to care for them, and they actually grow to care for her as well. So I think that they were a good kind of pair up because she's super, like I said, she's super selfish. Probably the only person or thing that she loved prior to having relationships with, you know, her team was her cat, and she was willing to sacrifice Denji to save her cat. So she has a lot of character development, but she's a great character. Just a fun fact, the creator says his inspiration for Power was actually Eric Cartman from South Park, which happens to be one of my favorite shows outside of like anime. Which makes sense because she definitely will give you Cartman vibes if you're familiar with that, and her, you know, just bluntness, talking off the top of her head, no filter kind of attitude. Makima is the leader of the Public Safety Division 4. Again, she recruits Denji and offers him, you know, proposal. Either you come work with us or we hunt you down. She offers him food and shelter in return for his obedience and basically being treated like a dog, which he doesn't care. And the reason that is because Makima as a character, I can say she's powerful. We see her power towards the end of the season. She's very feminine and she's very strong in her feminine energy. And she knows this and she uses that to seduce Denji. So she knows Denji is a horny teenager and she uses that against him. So a lot of the things she does, she entices him by the art of seduction, which was very well done, I must say. She makes all the high up decisions when it comes to the squad. And we don't really see a whole lot of her power, but we do see it at the end of the season. And yes, she's very strong. But she's their leader. So that is kind of where everybody finds their place from Makima. The Gun Devil, I would say, is the overall antagonist of season 1. The gun devil is one of the most powerful and feared devils. He killed 1.2 million people before disappearing, and then he was defeated and scattered into pieces. So towards the end of the season, we see them collecting these pieces and trying to use them to locate the gun devil. So Safety Division 4 is working on that, trying to track him down. And when we see the flashback of Aki's family being killed, it looked like it was just a big, large gust of wind that blew through the house and killed them. So we didn't even see like the shape or the size or anything of the gun devil. So it added to the fascination of his power and who really is he? Because just from watching that scene, you know, to see that, oh, this was the gun devil that did this, it looked like the house just, you know, was quickly blown down. So what really is the gun devil? But we don't get all of those answers resolved in season 1, unfortunately. As this anime is a dark fantasy, I am going to touch on some of the points that I think it does well in this genre and maybe things that it can improve on. So again, this is kind of taking the place of those questions that I use to rate animes. So to start off, there's a lot of gore. Okay, a anime named Chainsaw Man obviously has to have some blood. So if you're not a blood person, stay away. It's very gory. The first episode, we see some pretty gruesome things. And that continues to be the case. So definitely hit the marks there. The antagonist is known, but we don't really get the core of his motivation from his perspective at all, because he isn't seen in season 1. They don't find him yet. And like I said, the one flashback that we get of him is him blowing through a town. There's a balance of horror and dark comedy with Denji and Power especially. They provide a lot of those comedic moments, which I feel is also always good. You know, just because it's a more serious anime doesn't mean it can't have funny things. I mean, life is serious, but we have funny moments, so that works well. I like that it didn't take the usual hero route with the main character. I discussed that. The mood is often eerie and the suspense is well done, but I will say it's also done in a way that makes it more of an action anime versus, you know, something like Tokyo Ghoul, you know, which is more on the dark fantasy horror side. I feel like this is more of a dark fantasy action. So there's a little bit of balance there. I really like the animation style as well. The colors were bright, which is important because, like I said, there's a lot of blood. One thing to note on, because one of the questions that I did ask for dark fantasy is how much free will does the main character have? And Denji has almost none, right? So even from the beginning, he inherits his father's debt that wasn't his. He's made to work it off. He doesn't have a choice if he wants to stay alive. He's told that he can either become a devil hunter or be hunted as a devil. That's kind of the obvious choice. And then even once he's in that, he has to remain a devil hunter. He's not allowed to quit. He's not allowed to run away, you know, or he's going to be hunted down. And he doesn't even know why some of the, you know, devils that are coming after him, he doesn't even know why. He doesn't know why he's being targeted, and he's still in a position where he has to stay the course. So how much free will does he really have? To me, none. So there are actually a few things that I was able to pick out of this anime. And if you're still watching, I would like to know your thoughts on it, because maybe I'm reaching a little too deep, but I actually think that there are some serious themes in here, more than a typical anime, or at least there's some things that I pulled out. So if you're still watching, I want to hear your thoughts on these impacts that I am about to give, because I thought that there were some pretty serious things in here. And maybe I'm reaching, maybe I'm not. But first, free will. So like I just discussed, Denji does not have free will. And I don't think that he would have lived the life that we saw him living in Chainsaw Man had he had the right to make his own choices. From day one, from being given his father's debt. If the debt had died with his father, you know, this wouldn't even be a thing. So the choices that he's making, are they really choices? So free will. There's a lot of debate about if free will is a real thing or not. Manipulation of poor people. It is very easy to manipulate a poor person. And we see that because Denji was super excited that he was going to be able to have food and somewhere to sleep. And that was really all he needed to hear to agree to be a devil hunter. And we see him when they go eat, you know, he's like, can I really get all of this? Can I choose what I want to eat? And he's poor. So now he's being given a job, and the job is providing him food and a place to stay. Like, what more could you ask? And how often do we see that in real life? You know, people who are willing to do all kinds of things for basic necessities. And finally, the power of seduction. So Makima teased Denji and led him on, knowing he was just a horny teenager, you know, and she knew that he would do anything for, you know, a chance to be with her, to have relations with her. And she took advantage of that. Why? So for the impact that this anime had, it became one of the best-selling, the manga series became one of the best-selling manga series of all times, and it was very well received. I think the violent scenes in and of itself were very wonderful. You know, sometimes I think there's a fear of, you know, using violence in media because we see how, you know, in Western world, Hostel, Saw, those series are categorized as torture porn. And I feel like some people, if they're writing something, they might not see their work that way, but they're afraid that it'll get tagged as that. But I like that Chainsaw Man took that risk because, like I said, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of blood, there's, you know, just a lot of shocking things that you see. And, you know, I like that they don't hold back. Because, I mean, the name of the show is Chainsaw Man. So I'm expecting things to get messy. I'm expecting there to be chainsaws. And we know what chainsaws can do. This is one of the few animes that actually did make me want to read the manga. Because, as I said, this anime came out in 2022. It is now 2025. And there's nothing else yet. But so if you want to, you know, continue the story, this is one that you will have to read. So, which isn't all a bad thing. Like I said, I like shows that inspire me to want to know more. Some shows I'm okay with them ending how they end, but this is one that I actually want to continue to follow the story. So quickly for my rating, I give Chainsaw Man a 9. It was very, very good. I enjoyed it very much. But as always with everything, there's always something that I don't like and dislikes. There should be a second season. There should be. That's just all I'm gonna say about that. Some of the characters and their devil abilities were a little confusing. And even though there was good character development, some of it I felt like was rushed and some of it I felt like relied too much on flashbacks. I would like to have seen present day stuff. And then the end of season 1, like the finale of the last episode, it kind of lost the tension for me. It kind of dropped. And that consistency is important to me, even though it's the end of the season, right? Likes the gore, can't say that enough. The relationships that Denji was able to build with other people, especially living the life that he had, was, you know, was pretty good. Especially some of those characters, they were stone cold and he was able to break that ice. The subplots were very well done for some of the supporting characters, especially Aki. I think that one was amazing, from his family to his relationship with his first partner. I think that was good. And I like the fact that the devil hunters are able to make contracts with devils, and that's acceptable, versus it always being taboo to kind of interact with evil beings. In conclusion, this is another highly recommended anime if you have not seen it. And if you don't have a problem with blood, please be prepared for that. And also, if you want to complete the story, you will have to read the manga. It was announced by MAPPA that they will be releasing the Chainsaw Man, the movie, Risei arc. It will come out in Japan this year, so I'm assuming it'll be in the US soon. But we are going to get a follow-up. It just will not be in the form of a second season. It will be a film, which I don't like that, but it's what we got. So if you are not already, please, please, please subscribe to my channel. Like and comment this video. Let me know what you would like me to analyze next, and I will see you the same time next week. Bye, guys.